Hey guys and gals, I got another one for you today. Today, I'm going to feature a battle in the Sturv 74, and this is going to be interesting. It's on Berlin. It's a tier 7 match. There are a few 5s on their team, but really they have a lot of tier 7 heavies compared to the green team. And this thing has a pretty nice ending, so hang on and pay attention to that. The main reason why I wanted to feature this because it can be a learning opportunity, and it's a really smart play. So they're gonna head to the choke, and since they're just a medium tank, they're just gonna kind of chill out and be heavy support. Now this is in replay mode, so if they go into the gun, it's not obviously gonna have the right actual aiming reticle that they see in game, just because the replay system is broken for some reason. Something to do with the servers, I think. Alright, so they are working this ridgeline here. And the Sturv 74 is a ridgeline fighter. It definitely is not a city brawler, but it is one of my favorite tier 6 medium tanks, just because of the sick gun depression that it has. It has a punchy gun, but it doesn't have the greatest DPM, so you have to be at a distance. It really has no dependable armor whatsoever. And then as they push up, they spot medium cross in there. Looks like an M4. And bump into the IS. I don't know if I couldn't see it. The IS was camouflaged from that tree. Alright, so looks like they're going to push in. They miss their shot, but the IS lands the shot. And now this is a dangerous play because generally if there's tanks on the EF line, they're going to have shots over here. And looks like they turn around and deal with this Hellcat. Probably not the best decision, but anyways. So they change focus from the Hellcat over to this AT-7. Now the AT-7 is a well-armored tank, getting shots in the side. Now I had to watch this replay a couple times just to get the full intention here. Now they do realize that they're spotted in the middle of the map, so they're going to look for shots on the captured KV-1. And the reticle is not going to change colors either in replay mode, so we don't know if they can see them or not. I imagine they can see some sort of part of the tank just because they're targeted themselves. Now the AT-7 is pushing up on the heavy tank, and the rest of the team is pushing down on these two heavies. So they decide that they want to get down here. And it looks like they're fighting an IS. And their IS just killed a hammer. So they're going to kill that IS and then look for shots on the AT. But like I said before, this thing is not a DPM machine, so you just don't want to park in front of an AT and think you're gonna out DPM it. Not to mention the AT has frontal armor, so to be in front of the AT is pretty stupid. Right, so they take another risk. They really do not mind driving on the EF line. Missed the first shot in the AT. That was auto-locked, or if they aimed. Get a shot in the butt. No, looks like they go for a drive wheel shot there. However, they can't pen through it. And now this is great when you're trying to get shots into the opposing team's tank. And then your teammates decide to cover it up. Now, if you've been paying attention, it looked like the greens were going to win this match, and then the reds flipped it over, and now the greens are fighting back to get it squared up again. We got an A44 fighting the IS here, and I don't know if they just couldn't get good gun elevation if they weren't loaded yet or what, but they finally find a shot in the back of A44. Pull around the corner. They could have just waited till they were unspotted here. It is what it is. They have to use their med pack to fix their, I think it was their gunner. And now, this is a questionable decision if you actually want to split up. Now, my opinion on it is it's not a terrible idea just because you only know where one of their tank is right now. You don't know where the rest of their team is. However, getting too far separated from your other two tanks is going to be a tough play. Alright, so they spot the IS-2M. It looks like they're just going to flank the medium that was there. I think it was the 3485. The 3485 isn't over here anymore, so since it's not in the north, it flanked the greens in the south. So let's see if the greens can take care of it. Now, it looks like they're a little indecisive here, but they finally decide to see if they can get some shots on this IS-2M, and apparently they can. Reds already takes out the IS, and it's just these two mediums left. However, the 3485 is dead, and now the IS-2M is on half health. Not sure where the medium is, not sure where Artie is. I believe the IS was still in like F8 when it died, so imagine Artie's probably like F1, E1. And now the other medium tank ran south, so we're going to get a view of their teammate here that's driving south. And a cool feature, or I'm really glad that they featured this in their replay, because I can talk about I guess map awareness. So a lot of lower tier players that are starting the game have no map awareness, don't really understand how important it is, and they don't pay attention to their map, or they have the compass on. But the one thing you do to let them know where you're at is drive on the base, and that's what this guy does. Now, it looks like he's going to try to cap, and that's probably not the best idea. I wouldn't say it's the worst idea either, but I think their best idea was to stick together, kind of work the map around, find one tank at a time and try to dispatch them. The 40 TP actually doesn't do that bad of a job. Now, he could have taken his shot there just because the 3485 had already shot. Waits for the 34, or I'm sorry, the T43, the 85 is dead. T43 fluffs his shot here. Take your time, shoot this guy and he's dead. And then he shoots the rubble pile. Now Artie shows up behind him, and the T43 pulls out and finishes him up. So what he did wrong, well, I didn't think he needed to drive onto the base and let the Reds know where he was. He could have alternatively, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this map, but tucked it all the way to the side of the building and drove so he doesn't go into the cap. But now we get back to Danny Frog, and Danny Frog looks like they are going down the one line, probably hunting Artie, I imagine. Although with radio comms, if they could, because radio comms are kind of broken in replay system too, so you never know if they actually have radio comms or not. If they had radio comms, then Danny Frog would know where Artie is and the medium tank, but wouldn't know where the heavy tank was. Would just know that the heavy was last spotted in E6 where they were shooting at them. So Danny Frog's going to work the long way around. Once again, I think they're looking for Artie, but I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely just like a safe route. That way if you get spotted in the middle, you're not in a crossfire. Hopefully when you take routes like this, you're going to run into one tank, and then you can decide whether you want to go head-to-head, or if you need to get out of there, or what you need to do. But now they're spotted, and they're going to go back into third person and be able to kind of see what's going on the map, which is kind of cool. they do have one tank on. That's the medium. So the medium must have drove all the way north. And then the IS-2M looks like kind of hung out in the middle and now is driving south because Danny Frog was spotted. And Danny Frog just keeps moving. He's got a minute to get to the base. And spots the IS-2M. Don't know if they have Sixth Sense or not. So, not sure if they were spotted. But then they go back into Sky View, and it doesn't look like the Reds are really reacting to where Danny Frog is, so I don't think that they were spotted. Now, Danny Frog is going to just commit to going to the base. Got 27 seconds. Don't know if we have enough time. Down to 15 seconds. Alright, no time to shortcut it. Have to look for a shot here. Do they have HE loaded? That was usually a good thing to do. Misses the first shot, but gets the medium tank to drive off. And that was a really horrendous view. I'm sure that's not what it looked like in game, because it's just, the gun is just more bouncy when it's in replay mode for whatever reason. Alright, so they go back into Sky View, which is pretty cool because then you get to see how the Reds reacted to this whole scenario. It looks like the IS-2M just cannot get away from the middle. It wants to gravitate towards there. And Artie is setting up a ambush. And let's see if Danny Frog gets hit by Artie here. No, doesn't even spot Artie. So Artie must have started down that road. And they are, looks like, going to miss each other. Alright. So Artie is still not dead. And you definitely don't want to get ambushed by Artie in a city map. Like, that's one of the biggest ways that Artie can help out their teammates, especially in a 1v2 situation. If Artie sets up in the field, then they're really limited on what shots they have, and generally there isn't enough teamwork to work with Artie and say, you know, hey, where can you see? Can we try to bait him into that position? Like, that doesn't happen. Now, if you're in a platoon, you could work together like that. Maybe on a rare occasion you find that in a pub match, but generally you're not going to. So if you're an Artie in this situation, I would just kind of stay like a couple blocks away from your heavy tank, and then, like he did in the south to the Polish medium tank, he drove around behind him and was going to ambush him. So I think that's a smart play. Now there's two tanks on, so once again, just like the Polish tank gave away his location, these two give away their location. And as Danny Frog comes over here, there's a dead tank there, which is going to help out, and I think that's actually the T-43 that Danny Frog killed earlier. And the IS-2M actually shoots the dead tank, and now they are going to back up. Did get a reset, obviously killing the Artie, however did not penetrate or get a crit on the IS-2M, so there's still 30 seconds left. Now we go into the IS-2M's camera, and I think it's just for maybe dramatic effect, but I really like to see, I think it's cool that we get to see the IS-2M's perspective of the match. So the IS-2M stays on cap, so Danny Frog knows exactly where the IS-2M is. And that time Danny Frog loaded HE, so gets a shot into the top cap, only does like 30 damage, but gets a reset, so they have 1 minute 26 seconds to work. At this point, the IS-2M should absolutely just push into the Sturv and make the Sturv fight heads up. They would probably win that battle, especially since Danny Frog is down to 250 hit points. Now, the IS-2M doesn't know that the gunner and the driver are both dead. But what do they decide to do rather than push on the Sturv? Stay on cap, so Danny Frog knows exactly where they are. You're going to see the IS-2M's teammates start pinging locations where they think they need to go or where they need to watch, and Raged Puma actually decides to stare at the building rather than either side. You see they're kind of fidgety, they're kind of second guessing themselves, and it's honestly kind of fun to see the perspective of the opposing teammate, or enemy, I mean. So looking around, there's 4 different angles that Danny Frog could come at him, but really, like, A8 would be unrealistic because Danny Frog would have to drive so far around. And takes an HE up the butt to reset the clock. That is a brilliant move. However, the time is almost out. The IS-2M can't cap, and now Danny Frog is going to do something brilliant, and that is move away from the IS-2M. They don't want to die. Alright, so let me break it down. If you are ever in this scenario, count the heavy tanks on the enemy team versus yours. Here they have 4, and 3 of them are high tier 7s, and heavies carry the most hit points. And then on the green team, you have 3 and only 2 tier 7s. So really, if it's 1v1, it's going to come down to a tiebreaker on who does the most damage. And in this scenario, Danny Frog gambles that they've done more damage and just wants to stay alive to throw it into a tiebreaker, knowing that the IS-2M can't cap any longer. And since the red team has more heavy tanks, generally that's going to mean that more damage was done from the green team. And Danny Frog gambles, and they are right. So he pulls down a victory in one of my favorite tier 6 medium tanks in the game. It was really fun to watch. Brilliant gameplay. Ace tanker, 2000 damage, pulls down a top gun and a defender medal. Doesn't look like they have premium, but they make 27,000 in that victory with 7,000 XP. That looks like it's got some boosters, but base XP at 1578 in a tier 7 city match where the Sturv really doesn't do well, but nice game. That's all I got to say. I'll quit rambling, and then I know you guys were maybe waiting for the playoffs from the tier 9 heavy tanks. I just wanted to take a little break from that, and I got this sent to me, and I really wanted to show it because it's a good game. Well, I'll quit talking. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video.